Okay. Self-sabotage comes from belief systems. What you believe, what you believe about your life is what you will make true about your life. That's why it is so crucial to be aware of these outdated narratives and have the courage to change them. May maybe you have maybe maybe you have gone through the majority of your life believing that a standard $50,000 per year salary at a decent company is the most you will ever be capable of. Maybe you have you maybe you have spent so many years telling yourself I am an anxious person. You started to actually identify with it, adopting anxiety and fear into your belief system about who you fundamentally are. Maybe you were raised in a closed-minded social circle or an echo chamber. Maybe you did not know that you could question or arrive at new conclusions about politics or religion. Maybe you never thought maybe you never thought you were someone who could have great style, feel content, or travel the world. In other cases, your limiting beliefs might come from wanting to keep yourself safe. Maybe that's why you prefer the comfort of what you have known to the vulnerability of what you don't. Why you prefer apathy to excitement? Think that suffering makes you more worthy, or believe that for every good thing in life there must also be an accompanying bad. To truly heal, you are going to have to change the way you think. You are going to have to become very conscious of negative and false beliefs, and start shifting to a mindset that actually serves you. How to get out of denial? Okay, maybe this preliminary information about self-sabotage resonates a bit, or maybe it resonates a lot. Either sorry Either way, if you are here because you truly want to change your life, you are going to have to stop being in denial about your personal state of affairs. You are going to have to get real with yourself. You are going to have to decide that you love yourself too much to stop stealing for less than what you really deserve. If you think that you could be doing better in life, you might be right. If you think that there is more that you are here to accomplish, you might be right. If you think that you are not being your authentic self, you might be right. It doesn't serve us to use endless affirmations to placate our true feelings about where we are in our journey. When we do this, di- di- we start dissociating and get stuck. In an effort to love ourselves, we try to validate everything about who we are. Yet those warm sentiments never quite seem to stick. Only ever temporarily numbing the discomfort. Why don't they think? Because deep down we know we are not quite being how we want to be, and until we accept this, we are never going to find place peace. Or when denial, sorry, mistakenly, or unconsciously I say this Daniel, but this is denial. When we're in denial, we tend to go into blame mode. We look for anyone or anything to explain why we are the way we are. Then we start justifying. If you have to constantly, on a near daily basis rationalize why you are unhappy about your life, you are not doing yourself any favors. You are not getting any closer to creating the lasting change that you so deeply desire. The first step in healing anything is taking full accountability. It is no longer being in denial about the honest truth of your life and yourself. It does not matter what your life looks like it look like on the outside. It is how you feel about in on the inside. It is not okay to be constantly stressed, panicked, and unhappy. Something is wrong, and the longer you try to love yourself out of realizing this, the longer you are going to suffer. The greatest act of self love is to no longer accept a life you are unhappy with. It is to be able to state the problem plainly and in the straightforward manner. That is precisely what you need to do to continue truly uprooting your life and transforming it. It is the first step towards real change. Take a piece of paper and pen and write down everything you are not happy with. Write down very specifically every single problem you face. If you are struggling with finances, you need a very clear picture of what's wrong. Write down every debt, every bill, every asset, and every bit of income. If you are struggling with self image, write down exactly what you dislike about yourself. If it is anxiety, write down everything that bothers or upsets you. Okay. You must first and foremost get out of denial and into clarity about what's really wrong. At this point, you have a choice. You can make peace, or you can commit to changing. The the the, the lingering the lingering is what is keeping you stuck. The lingering is what is keeping you stuck. The path, new section, the path being right where you are now. The path being right where you are now. If you know that if you know that change needs to be made in your life, it is okay if you are far away from your goal, or if you cannot yet convince how you will arrive. It's okay. It's okay if you are starting at the beginning. It's okay if you are at rock bottom and cannot yet see your way through. It's okay if you are at the foot of your mountain and have failed every time you have tried to overcome it. Rock bottom is very often where we being on our healing journey. This is not because we suddenly see the light, not because our worst days are magically transmuted into some type of ep- epiphany, and not because someone saves us from our own madness. Rock bottom becomes rock bottom becomes rock bottom rock bottom become rock bottom becomes a turning point, because it is only at that point that most people think, I never want to feel this way again. That's that thought sorry that thought is not just an idea. It is a declaration and a resolution. It is one of the most life changing things you can ever experience. It becomes the foundation upon which you build everything else. When you decide you truly do not ever want to feel a certain way again, you set out on a journey of self awareness, learning, and growth that has you radically reinvent who you are. In that moment, fall becomes irrelevant. You are no longer mulling over who did what or how you have been wrong. In that moment, only one thing guides you, and it is this: no matter what it takes, I will feel never accept my life getting to this point again. Rock bottom isn't a bad day. It doesn't happen by chance. We only arrive at rock bottom when our habits begin to compound upon one another, when our coping mechanism have have spiraled have spiraled so uh, spiraled so out of control that out of control that we can no longer resist the feelings we were attempting to ride. Rock bottom is when we are finally faced with ourselves, when everything has gone so wrong. We are left to realize that there is only one common denominator through it all. We must heal, we must change, we must choose to turn around so that we will never feel this way again. When we have a down day, we don't think I never want to feel this way again. Why? Because it is not fun. It is, but it is also be unbearable. But it is also not unbearable. Mostly though we are somewhat aware that small failures are a regular part of life. We are imperfect but trying our best, and that vogue discomfort will pass eventually. We don't reach a breaking point because one or two things go wrong. We reach a breaking point when we finally accept that the problem isn't how the world is. It is how we are. This is a beautiful reckoning to have. Iodi Iodiavista describes his own like this. You must find the purest form of being fed up. Make it hurt. I really screamed. I'm not going to fucking live like this anymore. Human beings are guided by comfort. They stay close to what feels familiar and reject what doesn't, even if it's objectively better for them. Be this be this as it is. Most people don't actually change their lives until not changing becomes the less comfortable option. This means that they don't actually embrace the difficulty of alerting their habits until they simply do not have another choice. Staying where they are is not fable. They can no longer even pretend that it is desirable in any way. They are quite honesty. They are quite honestly less at rock bottom and more stuck between a rock that that impinging that impinging on them and an ardos and an ardos and an ardos flying out from beneath it. If you really want to change your life, let yourself be consumed with rage, not toward others, not with the world, but within yourself. Get angry, determined, and allow yourself to develop tunnel vision with one thing and one thing only at the end, that you will not go on as you are. Preparing for radical change. Okay, new section, preparing for radical change. One of the biggest reasons that people avoid doing important internal work is that they recognize if they heal themselves, their lives will change. Sometimes drastically. If they come to terms with how unhappy they are, that it means that they will have to temporarily be more uncomfortable, ashamed, or scared while they start all over. Let's be clear about something. put an end to your self-sabotaging behavior absolutely means that change is on the horizon. Your life is going to cost you your old one. It's going to cost you your comfort zone and your sense of direction. It's going to cost you relationships and friends. It's going to cost you being liked and understood. It doesn't matter. The the people the people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. You are going to build a new comfort zone around the things that actually move you forward. Instead of being liked, you are going to be loved. Instead of being understood, you are going to be seen. All you are going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are. All are going to lose is what was the what all you are going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are. Remaining attached to your old life is the first and final act of sabotaging, and realizing it is what we must prepare for to truly be willing to see real change. Now, chapter 2. There's sorry, there is no such thing as self-sabotage. When you when you habituate yourself do you think when when you when you habituate yourself to do things that moves your life forward, you call them skills. When they hold your life back, you call them self sabotage. They both are essentially the same function. Sometimes it's happened by accident. Sometimes we just get used to living a certain way and fail to have a vision for how life could be different. Sometimes we make choices because we don't know how to make better ones, or that anything else is even possible. Sometimes we settle for what we are handed because we don't know we can ask for more. Sometimes we run our lives and on autopilot for long enough that we begin to think we no longer have a choice. However, most of the time it is not accidental at all. The habits and behaviors you can't stop engaging in, no matter how destructive or limiting they may be, are are intelligently designed by your subconscious to meet an unfulfilled need, displaced emotion, or neglect desire. Over, overcome Overcoming self-sabotage is not about trying to figure out how to override your impulses. It is first determining why those impulses exist in the first place. Self-sabotage is often misunderstood to be a way in which we punish, deride, deride or deride or inter, deny, deride, deride or deride or intentionally hurt ourselves. On the surface, this seems true enough. Self sabotage is committing to a healthier diet, and finding yourself pulling up drives through a few hours later, in identifying a market gap, convincing an unpredict un, unprecedented unprecedentedly unprecedentedly brilliant business idea, then getting distracted and forgetting to being working on it. It's having strange and terrifying thoughts and allowing them to paralyze you in the face of important life changes or milestones. It is knowing you have so much to be grateful for and excited about, and yet worrying anyway. We often misattribute. Okay, we of, we often misattribute this behaviors to a lack of intelligence, willpower, or capability. That is usually not the case. Self-sabotage is not a way we hurt ourselves. It is a way we try to protect ourselves. What is self-sabotage? What is self-sabotage? Okay. Self-sabotage is when you self-sabotage is when you have two conflicting desires. One is conscious and one is unconscious. You know how you want to move your life forward, and you yet and you yet and yet you are still for some reason stuck. When you have big ongoing insurmountable issues in your life, especially when the solutions seem so simple, so easy, and yet so impossible to stick with. What you have are not big problems but big attachments. People are pretty incredible in the fact that they basically do whatever they want to do. This is this is this is true of everything in human life. Regardless of potential consequences, human nature has revealed itself to be incredibly self-serving. People have an almost superhuman way of doing whatever they feel compelled to do, regardless regardless of whom it could hurt, what what wars it could spawn, or what future would be put at risk. When you consider this, you being to realize that you you being you being to realize that if you are keeping something in your life, there has to be a reason you want it there. The only question is why. Some people can't figure out why they can't seem to motivate themselves enough to create a new business to to facilitate their goal of becoming significantly wealthier, perhaps not realizing that they have a subconscious belief that to be rich is that to be rich is to be egocentric or disliked, or perhaps they actually don't want to be super wealthy. Maybe it's a cover up for wanting to feel secure and taken care of, or their real desire is to be recognized for their art, and as this feels too unlikely to ever happen, they fall back on a secondary dream that doesn't actually motivate them. Uh, some people say some people say that they want to be successful at any cost, and yet don't want to log the hours of work it would take to get there. Perhaps it is because they understand at some level that being successful doesn't really make you happy nor light. In fact, the opposite tends to be true. Success usually exposes you to jealousy and scrutiny and scrutiny. Successful people are not loved in the way that we imagine they would be. They are usually picked apart because envious people need to humanize them in some way. Perhaps instead of being successful, what many really want is just to be loved, and yet their ambition for success directly threatens that. Nobody loves when you become successful. If everyone get envious. Inshallah. Okay. Some some people Some people can't figure out why they keep choosing the wrong relationships. People people whose pattern of rejection, abuse, or refusal to commit seem to be consistent. Perhaps they don't realize that they are actually recreating the relationship dynamics they experienced when they were young, because they associate love with loss or abandonment. Perhaps they want to recreate family relationships in which they felt helpless, but to live them again as an adult, where they can help the addict, the liar, or the broken person. When it comes to self-sabotaging behaviors, you have to understand that sometimes it is easy to get attached to having problems. Being successful can make you less liked. Finding love can make you more vulnerable. Making yourself less attractive can guard you. Playing 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 small allows playing small allows you to avoid scrutiny. Procrastinating puts you back in a place of comfort. all the all the way all the ways in which you are self-sabotaging are actually ways that you are feeding a need you probably do not even realize you have. Overcoming it is not only a matter of learning to understand yourself better, but realizing that your problems are not problems, they are symptoms. You can't you can't get rid of the coping mechanisms and think you are solved the problems. What does self-sabotage look like? It's it's impossible to say it it it's impossible to say decisively what self-sabotage does or doesn't look like, because certain habits and behaviors that can be healthy for one person can be unhealthy in another context. With 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 that said sorry with, with that said there are definitely some specific behaviors and patterns that are typically indicative of self-sabotage, and they usually relate to being aware that there's a problem in your life, yet feeling the need of perpetuate is it regardless. Here are here are some here are some of the main signs that you are probably in a cycle of self-sabotage. The first is resistance. Resistance. Allahu Akbar.